Okay, hi and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up your file in Adobe After Effects for rigging your creature. So the first thing you need to do is create some kind of creature, and you can do that. You can use GIMP or Photoshop, or any program for that matter. And one thing that's important that you do when you create your creature is that each part has to have its own layer, right? Notice here when I'm turning the eyeball off here, I'm turning off, or the eyeball on each layer, I'm turning off the individual parts. So you can see each part of this model, the skeleton, has its own layer, right? That's going to be important. You want to do that. And I'll show you what this really looks like with a black background. Now, these parts I created in a 3D program a while ago. And then what I did was each part that I modeled in the program, I saved each part out as a JPEG, I believe. So it's pretty low res by the time I got it in here. But when I put the black, if I change the background to black here, you can see it a little better. Okay, so it's a skeleton there. And so I brought all the parts into Photoshop here. And now what I wanted to do, each part, let's say, had a background maybe. Like a black background. So I got rid of the background, and then what I would do is I would turn off the eyeball on all the layers except the part that I wanted to save out with the transparent background. Okay, so I'd turn off all the parts except for the one I wanted to save out, and then I'd also turn off the background. And then what I would do is go up, or I'd go right to the layer itself. So let's go to the skull layer right here. Right click on the layer, choose Export As. Notice here it's already called skull. That's fine. Up here where it says format, if JPEG is selected, change it to PNG. And you notice there's the word transparency is checked. PNGs will save your image out without a background. So make sure it's a PNG. Make sure your background's turned off. Click export. Then what you can do is maybe make a folder. In this case, I made a folder called skeleton parts. Click save, right? I already saved one out of there. So once you go in here, then you'll see the skull is in there. And then you do the same thing with the other parts. So then now I'll turn off the skull. And let's just turn on the torso. Again, same thing. Go right to the torso layer and click on it. Right click on that layer itself. Go to export as. It's already named torso for us. PNG is selected on the top. Again, you want to make sure it's a PNG. Click export. And then make sure it's sending it to the right folder. It is. Click save. And then you'll see it's all in there. So you want to get all your parts in there. In this case, we have a torso with no background. And then we just keep doing the same thing until you get all the parts into that folder. Okay. So that's the first step. Once you get all your parts saved out, you can save this or you can close this out if you want. And since I've already done this whole thing, I didn't want to go through the whole thing, but you need to do that for each part. And here you can see in my folder here, I already have the PNG saved out, and there are 11 altogether here. And each part, again, is on it. It's going to have its own layer, okay? And there's the torso again. All right, so now that we have all these saved out as PNG files, basically the next step is to open up Adobe After Effects. Wait 20 minutes for it to load. Okay, we're going to choose New Project. Control N or composition, new composition. We're going to set up a size for this to be 720 pixels by 540 For pixel aspect ratio, I chose DVNTSC. 4:3 aspect ratio is the same as 720 by 540, something in there. So I chose DVNTSC. You can try other pixel aspect ratios, but that one seems to fit the standard definition really well. All right, so let's go ahead and keep the duration at 10 seconds. We can change that anytime we want. Click OK. And there you have, here's our screen. Here's our timeline down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just import all these files at once, okay? So I'm going to go up to File, Import, Multiple Files. I always choose multiple. And then again, you go to the folder that you want to access here. In this case, it's my skeleton PNGs. Okay, so here I can select the first one. Actually, let's select them all. We're not going to do a sequence. We're not going to do a sequence, right? We're going to do all these at once. Click Import, and notice they all come in as their own layer there. Click Done. So we have all of our parts here. And so now what the next thing you want to consider is the order that you want your layers to occur in. That's important. I'm going to start from the top down of my creature. So I'm going to start with my skull. That'll be the top layer, right? There's my skull. And let's see. Let's go ahead and next would be the torso, I think. So we'll bring the torso down. So there's a nice logic to this order. Pelvis would logically follow that, correct? So pelvis. Now let's go ahead and do the left arm maybe. So left bicep. And then left forearm. Let's go right bicep next. Right forearm. Okay, next we'll switch to left thigh. And then left calf. So you can see we're doing things in a logical order from top to bottom. Let's go right thigh. And finally, right calf. Okay, so we have all of our parts in here. Each is on its own layer, you can see. Now, the other challenging thing you'll want to do before we start rigging this thing is you want to change the anchor point so you can rotate something on the right axis. So I'm going to start with the skull. I'm going to turn the eye off of every other layer. Make sure your skull layer is selected. And this little point in the center here is our anchor point. Everything moves around that anchor point. So in other words, if I go into my transformation tools and I try to rotate the skull from side to side, watch what happens. It's actually rotating on that center anchor point. I don't want that, right? I want the anchor point to be closer to the chin so the head will rotate correctly. So what I'll do is I'll keep the transform tools open. I'll go down to anchor point and I'll move the anchor point closer to where it needs to be. Okay, and I'm just doing that by moving the anchor point positions here, left clicking on the numbers and dragging the mouse left or right. Simple as that. That looks about correct. So once I have that set up correctly, now I can just grab the skull on the screen and drag it back up toward the top in hopes that I have it in just about the right position there. So now when I rotate the skull, it's going to rotate on the right axis. You see that? So we have to do that with each part that's going to be a moving part. I would just recommend doing it for every single part, just so you're, in case you decide to move something and you need to have it in the correct spot. So that one's about good there. All right, so that one's done. So the next thing we'll do is go to the torso. So we'll turn the eyeball off on the skeleton and turn on the torso. The torso would rotate just about at the bottom of it. So let's go ahead and open up our transform tools. Here we'll close the skull. under the torso, and we'll change our anchor point to be closer to the bottom of the torso. About there. And then this number, of course, would come over here. So about right there. So when we rotate the torso now, it's going to rotate on the correct point. See how that works? Okay, so now what we can do is turn on our skull here. Let's rotate this back to where it was. I guess 0 is the number we want there. And let's just drag this back up to where the skull and the torso meet. Okay, so now these two have correct anchor points, right? If we click back on the skull, we see that the anchor point has not moved, and neither has the torso. So we close that down, and let's go, just keep going logically with our order. Pelvis here, transform, we'll go to the anchor point. Oh, we got to turn the eyeball on here. And it's pretty close here. The pelvis probably wouldn't rotate, but just in case, let's go ahead and move this thing maybe to the center of the pelvis. Again, like I said, the pelvis won't really rotate. So in case we wanted it to, we could put it down here, maybe toward the bottom of it. That might be a better way to go. But again, I don't think we're going to have to rotate the pelvis at all. It's not really one of our action points. But if we did, again, it would be right there, which makes complete sense. Control Z to put it back in position. And let's move this back up to where it needs to go. So you see the idea here. You need to change the anchor point on all these parts. Let's go to left bicep. Transform. Turn the eyeball on here. And you can see there that the bicep's not in the right position again, but we're getting closer. Let's go ahead and turn the eyeball off on the rest of these so we can see better. We need to move that down to the anchor point here. Oh, I went a little too far there. Probably about right there. And then bring this up a little bit. That's probably perfect right there. About right there. All right, so if you turn the eyeball back on the other ones, now we can bring this up to where it needs to go. Okay, you can see there, I need to move it over a little bit more. Perfect. All right. And when we check the rotation, you can see that it's rotating on the correct anchor point. That's what we want. Okay, let's go. Keep moving here. Keep moving forward. Left forearm. Again, transformation tools. We'll turn the eyeball on. And the anchor point is right here. So I think we can just turn off the pelvis here to see it. And move the anchor point here. And that's going to be right where the elbow would be, right? So about right there. Oop, not position. Undo that. And then change this one right here. And maybe just a hair down. Perfect, right there. So now we can move this into position. Perfect. Okay, check our rotation. That's where we want it. Okay. All right, do the same thing on the other side. Again, go to the right bicep. Transform. Let's turn the eyeball on. And again, the anchor point's right here, so we can just go ahead and make our adjustments now. Move the bicep in and down. About there. Of course, I'm going to bring it over just a little bit. Oops, I accidentally hit the position, didn't I? Got to hit the anchor point here. So probably about right there. Perfect. All right, now let's move this back into position. That should be about right. Maybe over just a little bit. Perfect. Again, rotate it. Just what we want right there. Okay. Okay, right forearm. Again, open the transformation tools. Turn the eyeball on, and you can see there the anchor point's off. So again, we're just going to make some adjustments here. Again, about where the elbow should be. Perfect. Okay. Move that into position. Looks good. Check your rotation. Hello. Okay, Control Z to undo that. We'll keep the pelvis off while we're doing this. Actually, let's turn the pelvis on now. It's a better idea. Let's keep the pelvis on here. Now we're going to do left thigh. Eyeballs on. Again, the rotation point is pretty close. Let's turn the pelvis off just to clarify. Okay, so that's pretty darn close. Let's go to transform. Again, anchor point here. We can adjust. That's really close, man. Probably about right there. Yeah, perfect. Turn the pelvis back on. Move this dude into position. Probably about right there. Check your rotation. Very close. Maybe move it down on the way just a little bit. Let's see, Control Z. Let's move it out just a hair. Let's give it a little space, a little gap. I like that. It's pretty good right there. All right. All right, let's keep moving here. So we did left thigh. Now we're going to do left calf, right? Let's turn the eyeball on and notice there the anchor point's way off. So again, transform, anchor point. That's about good there. And then bring this thing up. Just about perfect. Perfect there. Okay. Now we can bring this down. Line it up here. That looks pretty good right there. Check our rotation. Yep. Okay, we're almost done with this part. Okay, right thigh now. Let's turn the eyeball on. Transform. Again, anchor point is off here just a little bit. Let's go ahead and adjust that while we're here. Oh, that's so close. That's just about there. And then yeah, that's perfect. Okay. And again, we'll try to leave a little gap in there. Okay, let's bring it up just a hair. That's probably good. Yeah, maybe a little more. Go up and over. Oops. Wrong one, right? Make sure you're on the correct layer. Kind of line up better with the other one there. Something like that. We're getting close. And let's try checking our rotation there. Perfect. Okay, and let's go do the last one here, or two more, right? I guess we already did the right thigh. One more. Right calf. Last one. Let's go to transform here. Let's see. Where's the anchor point? Oh, the anchor point's up here by the pelvis. So I'm going to go ahead and make that adjustment now while I'm here. Okay. Very close there. Just center it. That's pretty good right there. And let's move this back into position here. Perfect. And let's check our rotation. Okay, so we have this. That's the basic setup. You bring your parts in that you created to make a creature. Each part has to be on its own layer. And then you need to go through each layer and move the pivot point where the center of rotation would be for that object. Okay, and then you have to move the part back into place. It's a tedious process, but that's the only way that you're going to get your creatures' movements to look natural the way you want them to.